And
Break my soul. You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. I'm telling everybody.
all right, welcome. This is a special episode. I feel like this is a treat because I know normally you guys are the ones doing the interview, but today this is the reflection episode, and we are talking to Shy and Bree, and we are finding out made herself a boss. How did this? How? Why? And I am Ayesha, Coach Bellamy, and I am the person bringing this episode to you. So I want to go straight into it because the whole part of like the why was really important to me when I read your bio and I went over information and I dug deep in you guys. It was like, why? Why did you feel like this was the show that you needed to create?
That's good. Would you like to answer that first?
Why this show? Why the show? I think it was the evolution of who we're becoming. I think Brittany always had the idea of, we should do a podcast. We should do a podcast. And I think for me, I was more hesitant than Brittany was because it was just kind of like, well, we haven't mastered this. Maybe we should do more of this. And I think as we have grown, I think for me, not Brittany, because Brittany's already there. I think for me, it was just like, you know what, Brittany? We deserve to step into this type of space. Yeah. We know so much and writing so many. Why not? And I think maybe our first episode was like, oh my God, I can't believe we do it. But as we kept going on, I think I kind of like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like, all right, like, let's do it. So I think why this podcast, I think because the evolution of who we are and where we want to be in this marketplace is increasing. So I think us exposing more of who we are and what we're trying to do, our mission, our vision, our goals, for the women who need us, is more prevalent right now. So I think that's why I think the podcast or this show, thank you for the refrain, the show is necessary and needed for the women that we really want to serve.
Yeah. So in case you can't tell, we actually love to hype each other up.
I say hype my bestie up.
We do that all the time. To me, it's really a reflection of how this, and we'll get into it, but how this whole journey has been with MaqdeHerselfaboss. We started off, like I said, we'll get into it, but we started off really not knowing exactly what we were doing, but just having a vision with it. And as we gained more confidence, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And this show was this literally the same thing. We tried it out just as a small idea for our Bossy Picnic last year. We had podcasts in the park. And we literally went out there one day, had a few talking points, cut it up into different podcast episodes. And it was really fun and people really received it well.
Really well.
So this year we kind of structured it into, let's upgrade this a little bit. Let's up level it and make it a more formal thing. And it's been really received well.
Yes.
As we came into it.
Oh, that is so dope. So I know, okay, because we're going to get into the business of the things, but the vibe, the energy, it's the friendship. How did y'all cultivate that? You started off as business partners, but how did this friendship develop? Because I'm a firm believer of when you can develop a friendship with your business partner, we have an even better business.
Absolutely.
How did y'all develop that?
Honestly, well, I think it's already unique in that we became friends after business. I think so often people decide to go into business with their friends and that can turn out good or not. But I genuinely call her my friend, not just because, we worked really closely together. I think it's just going to naturally happen. But she holds me accountable. She listens when I'm stressed. She is someone of a caliber that I like to keep in my friendship group anyway. And in working with her, I've been able to see that unravel more and more and more. So that's why she's my friend and not just my business partner, and why I allowed myself to go over that wall into that realm with Shy.
I think it naturally happened. Like you said, we were about business and the growth of what this looked like. And I think there were moments that opened the door for us to go deeper with each other as far as like the friendship developing. I think that Brittany has seen me in a lot of vulnerable moments. and to the point where we don't need to have this meeting, but we need to talk about this. You know, I think the accountability, yes, is still the same, but I think her aiding me into seeing myself more has always been like, this is really my friend. You know, you don't get a lot of good friends in your life, or you're not blessed. I'll say you're not blessed to have a lot of good friends in your life. And I can say, since being in Delaware, because I'm not from here, but since being here, Brittany has been my one true friend in this state and beyond. Not necessarily limiting us in the state, right? But in general, she is my number one friend, my go-to partner for everything. So like, I couldn't see this brand, or I couldn't see, even if we didn't have the brand and was just a friendship, I couldn't see us not being friends because of so much that she has helped and poured into me.
I wanted to like really emphasize that part because I think you guys service everyone, entrepreneurs, but primarily women is the focus, right? And as women of color, one of the things we hear as a stereotype is that we don't work well together. And so that's why that question was so important. Now, my follow-up on that is, how much thought have y'all given to the impact that you have when you speak about that as a part of your story on your show? The friendship that has developed because of business.
I think that we think about that a lot. We have talked in length, we spoke in length about that exact thing. We just want to debunk the whole thing that Black women can't work so closely together and be friends and get along, hold each other accountable, and work with integrity without getting in our feels and so defensive. You know, just as Black people, there's lots of things that are the cause of reason why we might be defensive about something, right? But we cultivate this, and we like to share that. We even have something called the Biz Bestie, where after someone has invested with us, you just bought like a course or attended our events or something like that, you're officially a Biz Bestie. You're invited
community language.
Yes. You're invited into our close friends on Instagram. We have a special email list that goes out to you and things like that. And we always try to emphasize in our marketing, come and find your next biz bestie. Just using ourselves as an example. We literally we'll probably get into the story, but I didn't know her until she just hit me up randomly on Instagram, you know, to do something for her event. And I saw so much potential in her, not knowing shot from a can of paint. You know, let's go talk. Let's do something. Why not? And this was me as a shy person. You know, I did not do
so
that.
You're the shy one.
Was.
What I was getting ready to say, because that's not what I see.
Not giving shy.
Not giving.
Definitely transformed. Really, that was a big moment for me when I just said, "Oh, I think we vibe really well." I think we
this
can
whole
do
time
something
she's been doing this whole time.
Wow.
Even coming to your event, Shy, was, and then asking me to speak at that, old me would have been like, no, but it was me forcing myself out of my comfort zone. And I'm so glad. It literally changed my life, and here I am now. I'm more outspoken and everything, and that was like a pivotal point for me. In case you didn't know, you did that.
I think about the impact. You know, it's funny. I didn't really think about the in-depth impact that as people are watching and hearing our story of how we're friends. I've always thought about it as like, I have this amazing new person in my life. I think about when you said the impact that takes, I think about how others are viewing it and how we're subconsciously letting them know, I can work with a friend here, or I can work with someone else who looks just like me, and we can build something brilliant. And there's proof. Once you're exposed to something, then you know what's possible for you, right? So they're seeing evidence of Black women working together, holding each other accountable respectfully, right? And subconsciously, we're letting them know, like, this is a real thing. It's like if you've ever been in a room with high-figure people, now you're like, oh, I can do this, right? You've been exposed to something that, like you said, has always been a bad thing, quote unquote, a bad thing. So when I think about that impact, I think about how we've helped relieve so many, or healed, right? Because there's been so many women who've had bad experiences with Black women. So we've helped heal or start the process of that, or even forgiving, right? Of that they can work with amazing women that look like us, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually a joyful, healful. Brittany's been a part of my healing journey. You know what I'm saying? So I think about those things and the fact that they have, dare I say, the privilege to view it, the good, the bad, the ugly, the tears, you know what I mean? I think it gives them, you know, permission to do more. I think we are so brilliant. I think, and people that we've met through our community, like in events, we are so brilliant. I'm always, oh my God, how does she know that? Oh my God. And the fact that we have the energy of, oh, we could work with that one and it's never going to be an issue is like amazing to me. So we're letting them know, like, you can work with us. We can build together. Like, that's what we want. There's always a seat at our table for you all the time.
So in your community, right? Because I'm hearing that supportive, that language of support. How do you foster that, like, even more? If I'm joining your community, if viewers joining the community, how is that going to look for them? How does that part, like, within the space of Made Herself a Boss? How does that look to your community?
We try really hard to make everyone feel seen and heard. I mean, even from a lot of people will tell you our first contact, and this is Shy's idea, just as soon as you follow us, we're jumping in your DMs, usually with a voice memo. Introducing ourselves, trying to see who you are, you know, just to form that connection right away. And then after you attend events, we try really hard to, like, even if this is our first time meeting you, we recognize you coming in, we know your name, we know a little bit about you. And we really try to keep those relationships going. I mean, a big part of my friendship circle right now are girlies that I met through Madeherselfaboss. We're like literally about to go on brunch. So just being authentic with it, not forced, but extending the olive branch right away, because everyone wants to feel seen and heard. There's that subtle bit of validation there that allows people to feel comfortable enough to connect with others.
I think what also heightens everything that she says is that what people don't know is that, you know, we are spiritually inclined, right? And I think when we are interacting with people at events, we see them and we see what's going on with them. And we add that into, of course, we're teaching, of course, we're helping you grow. But in order for you to grow, there's something in here. So I think that the safety factor, they feel safe in our atmosphere. We make sure that that is a pillar of what our events are after, so that they feel safe, seen, and heard. And they always know that they're mattered. There's times where we see things that they're doing, we're hopping in their DMs. Hey, what you doing? What's that? You know, we're holding them accountable like they can hold us accountable. And I think from them seeing and witnessing and being in that support, I think that is the community, right? They know that they're welcome. They know that they can bring their friends, but they also know it's a safe space to just be vulnerable, let it all hang out so that they can get built back up. We pour, right? But I think the surprising factor is when we're so focusing on pouring out and helping and developing and making sure the room is filled with transformation, they pour back into us.
They do.
Always.
All the time.
Like, our mind is always focused on, as soon as it's event season, or even not even event, the first time they experience who we are, whether it's the Instagram follow or whatever, it's, how are you? What's going on with you? You know, so I think that is like the baseline of them seeing our hearts and experiencing our hearts in that way, in alignment, right? So they're experiencing our hearts the first time so that they're attracted and feel safe. That's important.
You went right into my next question, and this one is for you, right? Because it goes with your saying. So what I'm hearing, based on your saying, is that you can see the God within them. Why do you say? Because you say you need to see the God within you. Why is that so important?
It's important because it affects how you show up. Brittany has always been a part of that journey for me, because I do doubt myself, even in this moment, you know, that I'm experiencing in this season, whatever is going on. There is always that moment of doubt, and I feel like there are moments where I do see myself, and then I can operate in that. So I know how it affects others when they don't see themselves. And seeing themselves is not necessarily like, oh, I have confidence today, tomorrow I don't. It's in every aspect of who you are and who you're being. It's from the dirtiest secret you don't want nobody to know to the proudest moment that you have it. You know what I mean? So I think that that is a part of what we teach in anything. It's the foundation of everything. We call it structure. It's the foundation of any and everything, and not necessarily in business, but in your personal and life, period. Because it affects how you show up, what you speak over yourself. It affects every aspect of what you do. I mean, in the business aspect, we talk about undercharging. We talk about, all the things that happen.
The reaction.
Child.
We talk about all the things that happens when you're not seeing yourself. And when you do see yourself, you're not negotiating with your brilliance. When you see yourself, you're not doubting, you're just seeing who you are. And when you see yourself, you have people like Bree who will make sure you continue to follow through in that and show up as that. So I think it's the foundation of anything before we can even talk about money. Because if your life is messy, you ain't making no money. But if you're seeing yourself the way God has always seen you, all these other factors will never be an issue. Not saying that you won't have some things and trials and tribulations, but it will never be a factor on how you go through it.
She gives too much credit because let me tell you, this is a equal playing field with the way.
Go ahead, come on, because this is the reflection. Let's go.
This is such an equal playing field. The way that energy needs to be bounced off of each other. Me being an active entrepreneur, I doubt myself a lot, and I will call a shy no matter the time. Like, look, can you believe this customer just said this to me? Or what should I do in this situation? What action should I take now that's going to be me showing up as my best self? Because there's plenty of times I doubt myself, and I do doubt myself as an entrepreneur with the way I should move in certain situations. So you're not reminded for me, girl. You have to share that. And I think just generally speaking, we all come across those times where we have to remind ourselves who we are and whose we belong to. Yes. And sometimes when you're so overcome with the anxiety of it or overwhelmed with it, that you may not be able to always hear God, you reach out to that friend who's in this better space to remind you.
That's
So add that on.
Add that for a little flavor.
Each other's confidence.
Listen, but so that's the thing though, but even in confidence, forgiveness is first, right?
Yes.
So when we talk about forgiveness, one of the things I've heard you guys talk about was that small business poverty mindset.
Yes.
And how you need to rid yourself. But what is the impact? Like, why is it important to rid yourself of that kind of mindset on this journey?
It's important because downplaying yourself is not going to benefit anyone in the long run. I mean, it's definitely not benefiting you as a business owner. It's not even really benefiting the client because they're not stretching themselves to go after that quality service that you may offer, or for you to show up at your best ability. When for example, pricing, when you're not pricing yourself correctly, and you're just not showing up as your best, you're not giving it your all because you know that you're not charging your worth, and then that does reflect what the client gets too, and how they're perceiving you and how they're describing you to others. I think that when we mainly deal with service-based people, everybody, but mainly service-based. I think that when you put yourself out there, your high-quality service, giving your all, loving what you do, wanting to show up, you have to charge according to that so that you can live and operate in that. You can get the resources that you need to deliver such a service. You feel good about it. That does translate to what the customer gets, whether they feel like they got the deal or not. You can't just worry about the immediate gratification that they must get. This is a long term. If you're in service, it's to make an impact. And I know that that's a word we're using a lot today. You have to, you need that in order to deliver the impact over the long run. So
for y'all personally, right? What was the factor? How much of a factor was the forgiveness part in removing that mindset for y'all personally?
I could say forgiveness plays part in a lot of things. I'll break it down this way. I think first was forgiveness of self. So there have been moments separately and together where, we've had to forgive ourselves for what we thought of ourselves, how we showed up, the things that we did, not even to each other, but personally, right? Because it affects everything that you do. I think having to understanding that forgiveness is for self and not for the other person is the biggest thing. Because it's not like you'll call that person that hurt you, like, I forgive you, and they say something dumb, then you already back in it,
Already
right?
back in
So
it.
it's for you, not for them. But I think first thing was forgiveness of self, right? There's times where I had to forgive myself for, why did I think I was dumb? Like, why did I think that I could not help this person or do this thing? All of the things, right? And I think as a team, forgiveness of each other. There have been moments where, you know, we've let each other down in certain situations. And I think that letting go and understanding, I think that's how our friendship got deeper. But I think letting go and seeing her, or seeing the most proudest thing I can honestly say, and I'm not going to tear up, but the most proudest thing is, you know, Brittany had went through a dark season, you know, losing a parent, and before that it was the job, before that it was something else. And the fact that she said, I am not well. I am not well, and I don't even know how to show up. And my brain is, how do I show up for this woman who can't show up for herself?
Yeah.
That was the most proudest moment.
Girl, it's too early.
I know.
We ain't even get to that question
I
yet.
know, but I think about it plays a part in forgiveness, because it was like, how do I forgive myself and forgive her and show up for her in a way that helps her?
Yeah.
Because in this moment, whatever I thought doesn't even matter because she is going through.
Yes.
So I think that plays a part in friendship as you're doing business, is knowing your friend enough to know, like, this must, we might have to take this break to show up for her in a way that serves her.
Yes.
So it plays a huge part. You mentioned small business poverty, and that more has, it's a mindset, but it's also a figurative thing, right? You know, when we think of small business poverty, we think of the most businesses who are only generating, well, women, because we deal with women, primarily Black women. The average is revenue is $24,000 a year, right? You can't even do it. You can't do much with it.
Yes.
Right? So when we say small business poverty, we're making sure that they understand that what you need to generate in your business so that you're not in poverty in your business. And yes, forgiveness plays a part, because you don't know what you don't know, right? Forgiving yourself for what you don't know to learn something better to serve you. So,
I'm switching gears for a minute, okay? Because listen, they're going to have so much takeaway. I'm excited for this episode for your audience, so they can see aspects of you guys that we don't get to see, right? And that's why this type of thing is so important. And Bree, this one is for you, because you already went into it and Shy just touched on it. So, and from a person who I see you, overstand you. Okay. So, the capacity. Is that thing real? And I heard Shy say something that I even think is so brilliant, because it takes such courage and bravery to say, I'm not okay. I don't have it, friend. I need you to take the baton right now. What does that capacity have to look like when we are on our entrepreneurial journey?
I think I'm still working on the perfect answer to that question.
I know that's right. Because there's no perfect answer. That's the thing. I don't want you to have a perfect answer. What I want you to do is talk about the realness of your answer, because your answer is going to be the perfect answer for your viewers.
Well, thank you for that. What I can say as far as capacity, you just have to be, I can't say you have to be ready, because you can't be ready for everything. Right. I would just say have a practice in place for when you're feeling certain things, even a protocol, maybe. Of feeling certain things, I can't show up today, who am I going to call? What do I need to say or do for my clients so that they still feel taken care of and heard at this point in time? Because what you have going on personally has nothing to do with them and their expectations of what they paid for.
That's right.
And just how you're going to take care of yourself and your business with grace and ease. So I'll say that about capacity, and how that's navigated is going to look different for everybody. Being an entrepreneur, like, it's one thing when you have a side hustle, you know, you have this other thing that's still structured, like you still know how to get up and show up for that because you've been doing it for a while. Being an entrepreneur, you have your schedule to yourself, how you do things is completely to yourself. But what if you're going through something and your brain is just on freeze, and your heart is just on freeze, and you just feel stuck in a depression? You know, as an entrepreneur, it's not so separate from your life. It's in balance. It's in play with everything else. So when you can't do anything, what do you do when there's still expectations on you? So best advice I can give today is to have some sort of, and you might be developing it as you go too, but have some sort of protocol in place so that things are still taken care of. But like I say, you can give yourself grace and ease, give yourself some time. And it may look like a break. It may look like shutting down for a little bit. And then as you're going through that, learning, okay, I'm going to add this on to my protocol if something ever like this ever happens again. Maybe set aside a little bit more money. Maybe, plan to get away for a while. Have that friend that I'm going to call to talk me through this moment. Space out my workload a little bit. Maybe not take on so many clients right now. And forgive yourself for doing that. Don't look at yourself as a failure. That's right. Because you have to take care of this. The business is in here.
That's right.
Okay, the business is in here. And of course, a part of that protocol, automation and hiring out, being able to duplicate yourself or have things still running when you're not there. But if you're in those stages where not all of that is together yet, may not be in the budget, still have a protocol to take care of you. Because without you, this whole thing's not going to work at all. And you can't beat yourself up for that, especially when what you're going through is legit. This is real. This is happening. Losing someone, just any sort of depression that you may be going through that's stopping you. Forgive yourself and have a plan for it.
And so that takes me into my next question, because it's those unexpected, right? So like, what are some of the unexpected things that you don't necessarily get a chance to talk about on the show? What are some of the unexpected life circumstances or just things you will encounter for these women as they're developing their businesses that they should actually give their brains a moment to think about? I'm one of those people where I trigger. And I believe that you should, because if you don't, then when it hits you and it happens, it's going to really weigh. And sometimes you forget, again, what you think someone may not need to know. This could be a stepping stone for someone watching that may be right there in that pit. And they're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm heading in the direction of this unexpected, because we say unexpected, but unless it's like really sudden, there's usually signs, right? So what are some of the unexpected challenges that women could kind of maybe prepare themselves for in their journey?
What I was hearing was communication, as far as when you are going through, being able to find the words to express to the people in your life or your team what's going on with you, so they know how to take the steps to support you. I think that's what I'm hearing when Brittany was breaking down, like the different signs, or when you're going through something unexpected mentally or even physically, we need to be able to communicate in the ways that we can. And even in the moments where we can't find the words, the people that are closest to us, have them help us find the words, so that it's somebody knows what's going on, to be able to take some type of steps to help.
Right. It all just starts, you have to listen to yourself and not be in denial. Like, I'm starting to feel myself doing this. I think, I hate to just say as Black women, because I'm sure everyone does it to a certain capacity. But we can't, because we want to thug it out so bad, just continue to push things down. There is a certain degree of, giving yourself that willpower to get through things, but don't ignore it to the point where you're not properly preparing for, again, if shit does hit the fan, if you do need a mental break, if you do need just the space to heal from something and not have the rest of your life go awry. So the first steps are just really listening to yourself. Am I noticing something starting to happen either within myself or in the situation around me? Like, do I literally see the spark that could turn into a fire later? Don't just walk away and ignore it, because that's going to be even more overwhelming and perpetuate the original problem. And then we're not even talking about just running a business anymore. We're talking about like a life crisis.
So what I'm hearing is making sure that they have awareness versus disassociation.
Yes.
Making sure that they are present in all the moments, so that if the unexpected hits, it's not this thing that's completely unexpected unless it's something sudden, versus disassociating where we just overlook it all.
Right. That's just another part of this superwoman
Syndrome.
persona, that we, I don't want to say we talk against it, but that we try to diminish. We talk so much about grace and ease, achieving your goals, but with grace and ease.
I love that phrase.
And you know, Shy has this whole speech that she does every time about hustle culture, and it's so true.
It is. It's actually one of my favorite speeches. That was one of the you were talking about hustle culture, and you went into grace and ease, and I was like, oh yes, who is she? Following
that.
Yes, no, you really do. Now, this was the part where I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the tissue. Because, like, no, seriously, y'all have an energy, a synergy about you. The alignment is absolutely beautiful. And Shy, you touched on earlier, like, your proudest moment of Bree. But what was that moment for you individually where you looked and said, that's my person? You know what I mean?
You know what? There's been so many. That's how I know she's a real one.
What was that? So that's, and I knew that was going to be your answer. I actually knew that. I felt like it's not going to be one. But so now we want to go deep, right? Because this is the reflection. What was that moment when you first started doing a business together, and you said, and it actually goes into my other question of that. It could have even came from the hardest moment you had, right? But what was the moment where you said, that's my business?
That's her. You know what? Speaking to the beginning, this has kind of been a reoccurring thing, like what I'm about to say. But moments where I may not show up as my best, moments where I may not know what I'm doing, and I may, like I was just saying, try to play the little avoidance, a little bit of denial. She doesn't play that. And you know, there's been times where Shy had to, you know, get with me. And I felt a little way, but I needed to. That's what helps me grow. And she's not afraid to do that. There were points where, you know, you don't want to disappoint your friends. Once a friendship is established, you don't want to disappoint. This is your friend, your business partner. You're not showing up your best. You know you could be doing better. You may not bring it to that person's attention. You may not try to just get it together real quick so that it still looks good. But and realizing this is your friend now, you don't have to hide that part of you. You can be transparent. I can be transparent with you. You're either going to meet me with a serious accountability piece, a serious one, where I know you heated with me, girl, or you will say something that reminds me that I have the permission to just do what I need to do. And you always ask, you know, what can I do to support you? And I think that alignment of wording is just so important. What can I do to support you? So generally speaking, those situations come up a lot as I'm still perfecting my balance or method, my integration with life and business and everything that's going on with me. Because just starting the business was stressful, but we grew through that. When my dad first got sick, there was plenty of times I had to do our meetings from the hospital. Plenty of times I'm editing our website from the hospital. Hey, did you get this done? I was actually in the emergency room last night. And then after my dad died and this brain just turned off, couldn't do anything for like a month. With anybody, with anything. And she's just been there. And as I've been coming back to life, I like to say, I feel like I'm living again. She's been there too, but it's not, she's so good with the balance. It's not giving me excuses, it's giving me grace.
That's right.
And there's such a difference in that. Giving grace means, hey, I still know that you have the potential to do this and be this right now. Give yourself the grace to feel how you feel, but don't like count yourself out. And she definitely does that for me. And I appreciate her so much.
I feel like that's like the reoccurring for you. It's like that whole thing, if it's a relationship, that's how you continuously fall in love.
Yeah, because that's what I need. As I'm still getting Bree where I want Bree to be, this is the person who's helping mold me into that person. One of the people. The first one I'm gonna call anyway. I appreciate that.
I'm going to. I told you we needed the tissue.
When I think of the question that you just asked, I think of moments where I didn't have a voice. So I've always struggled, and I'm pro therapy guy. I'm in therapy. I've always struggled with people showing up for me. And clearly, every time when we have issues, we're dealing with our inner child, the inner shiny girl, whatever, inner you. And that inner girl had issues with her father showing up for her on a consistent basis, right? So getting to the root of my issue, right? And as I become this adult, as I want to, I have friends and this business, and I always wanted to make sure that I showed up in a way that I would want people to show up for me. And I never knew how to voice that. So my thing has always been like, I'm showing up in this capacity. I need you to match me or surpass me. Understand that you can't always have that expectation of others, but also seeing them to know when grace is needed. So there was a moment that we had where I just broke down over Zoom, because we have our meetings on Zoom. And I was just like, nobody is showing up for me. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. No one's showing up for me in my personal. No one's showing up for me in this way. And I'm exhausted. And Bree, she took it in. She was quiet. Bree's always quiet first. She takes it in.
I knew to a degree I was contributing to that at that moment.
And this is healing. She took it in for a moment and she said, how can I show up for you? And that broke me down because, especially with men, because the root was my dad, the way that she showed up for me in that moment meant more to me than it did to anything, because in that part, nobody was showing up for me, and it hurt so bad. And even to I alluded to the whole, personal, because we're dating and all this stuff, and the discouragement of that on top of what you're going through at work, feeling that way, on top of you wanting to grow this MaqdeHerselfaboss brand to what it is, and you're feeling like no one's showing up for me. And I think that in that moment, that's when I was like, oh, I have a friend for life, because she stopped and was like, I know I'm not. How can I? And I think people don't think about that when they go into partnerships. Even though I can hold it, like, because she's been going through, I can hold that. I can, it's holding the space for that person, or holding the room for the people. But in those moments where I had no more room, no more capacity, it was just like, I don't know what to do. And I don't know how I need you to show up. So it was just that grace she gave back and holding herself accountable, because in those moments in the past, no one's held themselves accountable to that degree.
Yes.
It's always been, Shiny, you have to use your voice to say something. And even if they don't in that moment, you spoke your truth in that moment. So for her to be a person or woman who was in my life instrumentally to say, no, I have not. But how can I?
How can I now?
Yeah, has been the biggest thing. And like I said, I think there's a lot of these moments that people don't see that have made us closer as friends, but has even built us stronger as business women, as in anything, right? Even moments where I'm like, I feel like I'm a fluke. Brittany always is the reassurer or the quiet voice in my head in the moments at work where I'm like, no, Shanika, you've done this before. You've been doing this. Look what you've done. I think sometimes we're so busy doing that we don't see the full capacity of growth that we've done, right? Brittany's always the first person I call when I'm excited about something at work or something that I've accomplished. I've made a huge accomplishment at the event that I did. And I'm like, Bree, look, I took in X amount of dollars. Like, bitch, I did that. And I'm like, surprised. I'm like, that's good, okay. Like, but we knew this.
Okay.
Right. And she's the reassurer of like, bitch, but I knew you've been doing this.
Yeah, you've been doing this, girl. What are you doing?
Why are you surprised? So I think like those are the moments that have brought us together and that we use when we're in different, because Brittany is full-time in her business and I'm part-time, and MaqdeHerselfaboss is full-time professionally. And it's those moments that I appreciate, because then you're like that still quiet voice when I'm at work. When I'm running there, Roman said, oh, I got this. Oh, okay, I got this. Okay, let me keep moving. That helped me and remind me of who I am as I'm working, as I'm doing, as I'm, producing. So like, yeah, it's a healthy balance of who we are, what we struggle with. We're very transparent on what we're struggling with. And it has been a growing thing, right? Because it's not easy to say like, this is my struggle, or I'm in a depressed state.
Yeah, that's true.
I've been in bed all day, done absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's not easy to say those things, but how we honor those things and help push each other through it. I think that's the caveat. That's the caveat.
That's what really got us close. And stop being that surface level.
Yeah.
Hey girl. and you feel safe enough to like go through some things with someone. That's so important. I mean, on a weekly basis, when we have our meetings, we start off with the prayer. We start off with gratitude. Yeah. And you can talk about what made you happy. You could talk about what you wish it had.
Right. Yeah. And I love that we created that space for us, starting off with prayer and then sharing the gratitude. And sometimes it goes more personal than it goes business, but we have the space for it to go wherever it needs to go to serve us. Because if we're not served, then the business is never going to be served.
Right.
Such alignment. We do how's your head, how's your heart before meetings.
How's your head, how's your heart?
Yeah.
I'm feeling, I don't know, like I knew this already. It feels good to talk about it. Just let it out besides just on Zoom.
Yes.
When your heart is just full in that moment, it feels good to reflect and like, we got through that.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Yeah, we got through that. And I appreciate you so much for getting through that with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Where
I know we gotta bring
you have to, because like that part alone is its own episode, and I think that as you guys move forward with your show, that honor that space right there, just that part right there, and how you continuously give yourself space to fall in love with your business partner and your friend, right? Because that was such heartfelt, and I feel like that's going to be something that's going to allow the viewers, when they tap in, they're going to be able to hear the lessons and the wisdom that you drop. So much wisdom you guys give. What is the future? Where's the future of this brand going? What do you say?
The future of the brand, definitely bigger and better. We are the girls who have a million ideas. Yes. We literally narrow it down just by how we gonna execute. Can we execute? Are we floating on a cloud right now? But bigger and better, we have a society that we're going to be launching soon, an inner circle we're going to be launching soon. Just so many more ways to impact the women, to take care of the woman behind the business.
Yes.
With grace and ease. That's our phrase for the year.
Yes. Period.
Grace and ease. So that's what's coming for us.
And we thinking future now. We going future because near future we going to tell them what's that coming up new. But what do you see for
what can we say on camera?
That's correct. True.
Question.
All the things that's not covered under NDA. You can speak from the imagination from there.
Okay, I can do imagination. So the big feature of Madeherselfaboss is going to be such the household name, and I definitely see sub brands underneath of that flourishing and doing its self thing. I think about not necessarily bigger stages, but definitely us being sought after.
Yes.
Definitely more retreats, bigger things of impact. We love intimate things because I personally feel I still want to know your name. I still want to know everything that's about you. I never want anyone to feel like a number or a transaction to me. That's how we feel. So it's definitely being able to travel because we love a good beach and a Bahama Mama. But also doing business with those things. So I definitely see impact in those ways. I see the society growing where it has nothing to do with us. Our team is managing that, and we can just focus in on just the key people that we want to focus on. Like we have options, how we want to step up, but because we're being sought after and we're doing interviews and we're gracing Essence Festival and we're doing all of these things to bolster our brand and our vision, I think that is what I see for MaqdeHerselfaBoss. They be like, oh, that's the dynamic duo that is changing lives.
Right.
Yes.
I think for me, honestly, I want us to be the go-to resource. Once a woman decides that she wants to start a business, I have to go check out MaqdeHerselfaBoss. You know, I want it to be that prevalent, that no-brainer. Let me go to their website. I need to sign up for this, I need to sign up for that, so that I know I'm doing things right.
And the audience, I think about the future audience, near or far or in between, is that they are a type of woman, and we can have men private clients. But the type of woman, right? The type of woman that knows that this is their next best decision.
Yeah.
That it's not a situation, we talk a lot about desperate energy, that the women that are coming are never in that energy, but knowing that being in this community and the different things that they need to be in, whether it's a program, a membership, whatever, that this is where I need to be. So it's the mindset of the person that's going to be coming in. So that excites me even more. Even though that we are starting to see more of that, that excites me.
Now, what's in the near future? What can the people expect to come up near?
Well, the super near future.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our event of the year.
Yes.
The Bossy Picnic.
I'm gonna make sure I'm there this year. Fourth annual. I'm gonna be there for the
annual Bossy Picnic.
Yeah.
And even just the way that came about. I mean, we just want to get some women together to get out the house after the pandemic. Sold out on our first one. Continue to have these beautiful women come and picnic with us and enjoy themselves and network and learn something. With MaqdeHerselfaBoss events, we definitely set ourselves aside, because even when you think it's just going to be a kiki moment, you're going to leave having learned something. So the Bossy Picnic, it's literally our biggest event of the year. We choose different parks every year to have it in. It's beautiful, it's curated, it's luxury, charcuterie, picture ops. It's
media. You need red carpet. I'm there. You said what? You need media coverage. I got you.
we'll talk off mine.
Okay.
And we this is going to be our third year honoring the MaqdeHerselfaBoss Award.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So this is where we give our flowers to a particular woman who has just been showing up in her business, gotten through adversity, shows exemplary customer service, just someone who deserves to be mentioned. And we love that you don't have to be on this grand scale to get acknowledged. This is literally your peers acknowledging you, your story just being that impactful, and just deserving to get those flowers in front of your peers.
I think the Bossy Picnic is giving people what they need. So the cues, right? And because we're so intelligent, we give them what they really need, right? So they're coming in. We have amazing sessions that happen. And each of those sessions are a deep dive. Like what you're doing for us is what we do for them, right? It's a deep dive into who they are, whose they are, and what's going on in this business. Because once you can conquer those two things, then we can have a conversation about money, sales, business, marketing. And I think that, like she said it perfectly, that they come and kiki ha ha, and then they tear it up, and they're like, oh my God, and breakthrough, healing, and transformation is in the outside building. That's right. I think another thing that sets us aside apart is that we don't just talk about the business of you, we want to take care of the entire CEO. So when she leaves our presence and flourishes, she's a better mom, wife, husband, friend, sister, I didn't say husband, sister, mother, all of the things, right? Because that matters, right? We are so into soul, so that strategy makes sense next. So I think the Bossy Picnic is so exciting. It is all of the picture ops. The ladies come out looking all cute, looking as good as they should be. But it's also the deeper things that help them. And I love, because after we do those things, then we ask them, like, how would you want more support? And you can do it in these ways with us. So I think, which is no surprise, but I think that is what makes the Bossy Picnic the fan favorite. Besides them, people have came and left and made money together.
Yes.
Like,
I can see that. That would be.
They link up for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And link up and have business partnerships and collaborations. So literally everything you need is in the outside one with us. That's what we're excited about.
Man.
And of course, just coming up, we have memberships in Inner Circle. More details will be coming with that as we're officially, you guys will get first dibs. We're officially launching it at the Bossy Picnic. So more information will be getting dropped about that, but let's just say there are memberships, more opportunities to connect, more opportunities to learn, more opportunities to just be that girl among other girls.
And when is the date and where do they go to purchase?
Okay, so I'm so sorry.
It's
Well,
okay.
actually, no.
No, yes.
If you want to attend the most impactful, incredible, find your next biz bestie, learn something, do something, picnic, you want to attend the Bossy Picnic happening here in Wilmington, secret location on September the 7th. So you want to go to thebossypicnic.com, learn everything you need to learn there, get signed up. We are about to launch where you can vote for Miss Made Herself a Boss, for the Made Herself a Boss Award. But just go to thebossypicnic.com to get your ticket and learn everything that you need to know.
Yes. Beautiful drop. Before we close out and wrap everything up, I would love for each of you to offer a word of wisdom, right? Sometimes we think our audience is the people that are our peers. And what I find is when I go through my analytics, it's youth. The babies watch me hard. So to the babies that are watching you that say, I want to do that. I want to make myself a boss. What is the words of wisdom you want to give to them?
That just felt so good to hear you say that. The words of wisdom that I would give, shall I look at you or look at the camera? The words of wisdom I would give to you is to, first of all, give yourself permission. You can do this. You have these desires for a reason. You want to go into your service-based business or whatever to help people, either help others, help yourselves. Think about your future, the impact that you're going to be making on your life and others. So to go for it. And don't be afraid to invest in the proper resources to get there. It is possible. That's my piece of advice. It is possible.
That's making us think. I would say to her or him, you are already it. You are already doing it. It's the reason why this brand is called Made Herself a Boss. And whatever the brand is that you are birthing, just know that it's already there. You just have to catch up to it. And everything that Bree said is catching up to it. So I would say you are already there. You are already doing. Take the next steps. Give yourself grace for what you don't know. Get excited to learn something new to implement. And don't be afraid to reach out for help, no matter what that number is for the help. I think those are the things that I would say. I would say master the principles first, the forgiveness, the surrender, the alignment, the vision. I would say master those principles first, love yourself more, and everything else is easy. It's grace and ease after that. So that's the things I would say.
Grace and ease.
Oh, this has been a beautiful reflection. And I just want to thank both of you ladies for allowing me the honor to come and pull parts of you out so that your audience understands that what they get to see on those edited versions, there's so much more that's behind that. And they get a chance to see it. And I speak that y'all take away from this what you're supposed to. Not just to take this episode, it be the episode that you love, but you go back and you reflect over every episode that they've had. And so that you prepare yourself to really be a true viewer for them in the future.
Yeah. I was just going to say thank you for this because we didn't even realize that this was something that was needed. The way that you pull and tug and force us to be vulnerable enough to impact more people is a gift, right? I want to say that I see you. I see the parts that you're not even you're hiding in this moment. I see it. And I thank you and I honor that in you. Keep going. Even in the part that you don't want to speak about.
That's her special talent, by the way. Yes. It's by looking at you. I
can see it all.
Mine too. That's why we see each other.
What you do, again, she's speaking for both of us. Thank you so much for having us, for pulling this out of us. What you do is so important. please remember that what you do is so important, because this vulnerable moment that we're having, not enough women, especially not enough Black women, are having that. And that's why they're driving themselves into the ground.
Yeah.
And that's why they're shutting down, breaking down, being destructive to their lives.
Yeah.
So by you continuing to do this, you could actually be saving someone's life, someone's sanity, and then all the other lives that are affected as a result of that. So what you do is just so important, and I'm so excited to see you continue to thrive and be on the other side of this chair and just change lives in a way that God has gifted you to be able to do that. So thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
Yes, and making us think. We like to make y'all think. Now we got to start making us think.
This was so brilliant. I absolutely this was an honor and a privilege, and I hope you all enjoyed.
Teary-eyed and all.
Yes. And see, Christ.